What a beautiful day it was in Campbellville at Tomiko Training Center on Friday morning. We went with, I don't know, 54 babies or something. Kirby worked it all out. Some of them went 2 trips, so we had 87 training miles on Friday. 87 training miles on Friday morning. An incredible morning. Really, the only ones that made mistakes or looked bad were our best horses. So, White Tiger, you know, it's tough. I know those guys go out there and they don't want to be hard on the horses. They don't want to jog them around fast. They don't want to, you know, they just don't want to be hard on the horses. And this is not, you know, when we're asking them to pace along the way they did on Friday, you can't go out and jog them around like aged horses and let them mellow out and settle down and fall asleep and then go out and think you're going to step in the accelerator and they're going to be flawless. And White Tiger made a mistake, made a break. I trained him this morning, actually. Trained him in 218 this morning by himself. He was perfect. I had mentioned to Todd after, you know, we tease each other a little bit, and I'd said to Todd, geez, you really put on a display today, didn't you? I didn't mean anything by it. Todd Ratchford's a great horseman and a really good guy, and shows up, and I'll tell you what, all them hot horses, man, oh man, he keeps them quiet on the track, and does a great job. But shitty job with White Tiger yesterday, Todd. You suck. But he was good today, so I'm not really worried about White Tiger. And who else? Timel Houdini made a break. Same thing I mentioned to Brett after. You got to get that colt on his toes before you train. You're going to go a mile and 30, do whatever you want. You're going to go a mile and 15, get him on his toes. And he made a little mistake. A couple of horses did. So, we're going to go with the movers of the week. Movers of the week. I had a tough time getting a 5. In fact, I made another little category, improved of the week. So these are horses maybe that slipped off the top 10 that are creeping back up towards it. Horses that maybe didn't make the mover of the week list, but deserve to be mentioned. So I'm going to start with the most improved horses of the week. Horses that caught my eye, horses that I was impressed with. Maybe they haven't been on the top 10 for a bit, or they didn't make the movers list, but I didn't not see them. I saw how well they looked, and I saw how well they did. And there's a lot of horses that could have made this list also that didn't. Very impressive grouping on Friday morning. So we had hard 8. I told James couldn't stay. So qualifiers are on Friday at Mohawk. So we lost James after the first set. And Kyle Reibling, who's been doing a little riding for us, nice guy also, good horseman, he went with hard 8. And I said, listen, just don't put her in a spot where she could get beat up. You know, she's a big gangly filly learning to do her work and getting sharp. I look over my right shoulder, and here he is first over with her. So I was surprised how well she did first over. This filly is really, really turning into a nice filly. She's bigger than the other horses for the most part, and I was really giving her a long time to fill out, but she's really turning into a racy little horse now. And very impressed with hard 8. Very impressed with hard 8 yesterday. Yes, Ricky moved him hard to the front, just got picked off by a horse we're going to do some talking about here in the next 10 minutes in Swandre the Giant. Yes, was very impressive yesterday. Maxwell Plum tied up 2 weeks ago, missed a couple of training sessions, and Ricky apparently didn't get that memo and came first over with him, and he was really, really good. Warwi Ultra really belongs in the top 10 list. I just couldn't fit her on there, and about a month now without breaking, 3 weeks to a month, and looked really, really good, coming hard on the end of it yesterday. Looked great. Stonebridge Loyal looked fantastic. Brett really, really liked her yesterday. Really, really concerned, obviously, with her knees. Every day we look at her knees. The little splint left front that was bothering her yesterday, but she was straight, strong, finished up good, pacing hard at the wire. I jogged her this morning. Today is you could see a few little cracks in the armor today of these horses. A couple of horses out there a little bit sore today. Feet are a little bit warm. Maybe their knees are a little bit warm. That's important. This is part of the process. Is to push them. Push them, then I know, hey, their knees are bothering them, back off a little bit. Maybe we'll have the veterinarian come in and x-ray them. They might put some some polyglycan or adequate in their knees. These are things that we need to know now. These little things that we see right now, April 26th, April 27th, 1st of May, you're going in 215 to 218 on a half-mile track, a farm track, and you see these little things, you can address them. You're going in 58 on qualifying day, or in the gold or grassroots stakes in July, and they come up lame after the race. That could be it for their 2-year-old season. We want to see these things now so that we can address them and make sure they don't come back in June and July. And I really, truly believe that's why we'd have so much success and luck with our horses not having broken bones to speak of. We did have a little bit of an incident this week we'll talk about in a little while, but for the most part, we have a real good handle on where the issues are with these horses so that we can address them moving forward. So, Stonebridge Loyal, very good. Christine K, you really start to see that filly coming forward now. Saw her on that right line a little bit. We put a little blister on her knees. Might put a razor pad on that foot just to help with the shock for a little while. But really, really impressed with this filly. Before, she was kind of always follow along and hope she finishes, follow along and hope she finishes. Brett came first over with her. She was digging right to the wire yesterday. He was really impressed with her. I had made a break with Quartz Blue Chip and was way back, and I'm watching it unfold from a distance. I was impressed with what I saw. Then when I watched the replay, very impressed. Then I talked to Brett more extensively about her today. He really likes this filly. So she was really, really good yesterday. Very impressed with Christine K. As you know, Christine K is a 3/4 sister to a rock and roll dance. So thanks to Crawford Farms for sending her to us, and they retained a piece of this filly. So hopefully you have some luck this summer, but she is starting to round into shape. Now we'll go with our top 5 movers of the week, and a horse that I think everybody should watch, and I think everybody knows who it is. He couldn't get onto the top 10 list because he literally came out of nowhere. There was 2 of them. One of them I did put on the top 10 list because he's always kind of been training well but never been a horse we talked about. And then the other horse really came out of left field and obliterated everybody yesterday with an impressive, tremendous, I'll just mention it first, the horse to watch, Springbridge Proud. Man, oh man, what an incredible burst of speed. I was 7th going into the first turn and 1st going into the second turn. I moved him going into the turn. He paced as hard as he could lay his legs. From the start of that turn, through the turn, out of the turn, crossed over to the front. I shut him down, left him alone for 3/8 of a mile. I called on him coming to the head of the lane, and he drove away from them again. This is a serious colt. It's no joke. I thought this colt was a nice colt. I hadn't been going with him. His knees bother him a little bit. He had that big, dirty foot separation right front that really was killing him, and was really killing him. And then to see him go out and train like that yesterday. He had an egg bar on his right front and a normal shoe on his left front. 2 different shoes up front, just because we were trying to keep him managed. And then I said, we'll put him in this grouping, and, you know, I want to put him in gear and see how he looks. I guess he answered all my questions. He should have answered yours yesterday. Jesus Christ, this thing's got some wicked turn of foot. The thing I love the most is a horse that can pace hard for 1/4 of a mile. You give them a breather and call on them again, and there's lots there left again. Man, that's a really good feeling, and I was really impressed with Springbridge Proud yesterday. Top marks to that colt. Really easily could have been on the top 10, only where the hell did he come from? He was training good. Not that good. This colt was tremendous yesterday, so definitely, easily, the horse to watch moving forward, Springbridge Proud. Movers of the week. Holding Steady. All you people out there saying, oh, what's wrong with Holding Steady? What's wrong with Holding Steady? He looks so, he just looks like he's in the group. A couple of weeks at Mohawk, stretch him out, loosen his bolts up, tighten them back up. Brought him back the other day, and the one owner said, he doesn't even look like the same horse. Yeah, he doesn't. That's the process. You know, big, lazy, fat colt. And I didn't want to hurt him on this track, so we've been pushing him over at Mohawk. I don't want to push him too hard. Geez, that first stake race scares me. They have a big colt like that ready for June 15th or 17th. That's a big ask. And not one I'm comfortable with. But he is doing the work easily. He's been in 214. Trained fantastic yesterday. Had pop on the end of a mile. Moving, looking to attack. The things we want to see. Especially from a brother to Rock and Ron. So he'll be heading to Illinois. He will be ready for the first stake race, which, as I said, is a scary proposition, but he will be ready. So, Holding Steady easily moved, one of the movers of the week. Stolen Dance, got her 2nd lifetime win, the big girl. I guess, you know, she was great last week, too. Made the mover of the week, and I could have left her off the list, but I really didn't have anybody to replace her with. She's not doing enough to make the top 10. She's only been in 26. As I said, I'm aiming for late August with this filly, but looks the part. Didn't even have the hobbles on her yesterday, for those of you that were watching. Just decided, take the hobbles off her. Just went out, laid on the outside of them. Now, she was in a slower set with Cash In on Me and Boldness and those horses, but still did her work, did it well, trained well, and went a mile in 26. Can't really complain there. Very happy with Stolen Dance, considering how well she's bred and what we expect of this filly, and what the long, long game of this filly is. I mentioned to a couple people, I'm not interested in the breeding game for the most part. I don't know enough about it. Obviously, I know the breeding, but I don't know the crosses. This is a whole other part of the game that's incredibly complex, and I don't know enough about it. But I do know a horse that wants to try, that's well-bred, is maybe a horse you might want to hang on to. I could see this filly taking a 2-year-old lifetime mark, taking a good lifetime mark later on in her, like 3-year-old season potentially, and putting some money together. At that point, I think she's probably worth a lot of money. So, short term, Stolen Dance should be ready at end of July. No, not the end of July. Middle of August. That's minimum. That's the best we can do, I'd say, is middle of August. She's still growing and progressing. She's a tall filly. So I'm going to say middle of August. You'll see her make her debut and her start as a 2-year-old. I'd love to put a 2-year-old mark on her, get her some stakes races, and then put her away, bring her back, and get a good mark on her at 3. But this is one filly that loves her work. Loves to learn. Loves to learn the thing. Sometimes it's hard to teach them because they want to attack all the time. They want to compete all the time, and you need to teach them to sit and move and sit and move. She hasn't learned any of that yet, and all these other horses have. This is why we train them like this. But this filly had missed some time, and now we're trying to get her in a different set, and she's learning. She's starting to quietly learn to sit and move, and she'll get it. We'll turn her into the horse the same as the rest of them are, but she's behind a little bit. Very happy with Stolen Dance for a number of reasons. Excited to see what August is going to look like for her. See You in Tuscany. See You in Tuscany trained awesome yesterday. This is a horse, as you know, had some serious health issues at the start of the winter. Had an abscess in his lung. We had to stop him for a little bit of time, treat him with some specific antibiotics to get this colt under control, and looked great yesterday training. Again, I saw him from a distance, but I thought he looked great. Friggin' Biggin. Old Biggin bounced back. Biggin looked good. Saw a few little holes in him, still running in a little bit as I watched the video. He's got that big kind of rangy gait up front. His knees and feet can't help but hurt him. So I'd asked Johnny to blister his knees, hocks, and stifles and really focus on those feet. Tub them, poultice them, iodine them periodically throughout the week. Work on those knees, hocks, and stifles, and keep an eye on his back. When their backs start to get sore, that means they're loading weight from other places in their body. And when you start seeing a horse get sore over its back, it's always, almost always, like 99% of the time, that back is a secondary issue to somewhere else. Generally lower hocks or feet or both. As you can imagine, if you start taking weight from the knees and the feet, you got to load it somewhere. It's loaded on their hocks. You'll see horses start to pop curbs, as we've seen in the last few weeks. These are all things that happen during the process that I talk about. But this is April. This is when you need these things to happen so you can take care of them and have the horses ready to rock in June. For those of you that think that we can train them in a different way and these injuries won't manifest themselves, I disagree. You know, the last thing I want is to try and treat a curb in August, in July. The horses don't come back as good. You can treat them in April. You can have them good for August. But to train them in a different way that those injuries won't manifest at all, I'm skeptical. I'm not going to say it wouldn't happen, but I'm skeptical. I'm comfortable with the way we train them and the results that we have because of the way we train them. So seeing curbs and splints and things of that nature come now is good. It means we can have them right for July. So Friggin' Biggin was good yesterday. Biggest mover of the week. Final answer. I thought this was a nice colt. I didn't like his attitude in the winter. Didn't like what he was doing. Seemed lame some days. Was making breaks a lot. We had to change a lot of gear with him and make some adjustments. And then he started getting better and better. I'd mentioned him last week. I was very impressed with the last drone session of this colt. And then out of nowhere yesterday, I sat behind him. He just felt like you go around 2.6 with him. This colt has got some like freak speed, like big, powerful speed. And I had said to Ricky after, I'm looking, you know, Pennsylvania. We got Just a Tad. We got White Tiger. We got Stonebridge Simba. Even Casanova's Jewel. We got some good Pennsylvania breds. Don't kid yourself. This guy's serious. He's not a joke. And I think I'm just going to whistle him over to Mohawk and go over a mile around 210 with him on Wednesday, and I doubt he'd blow a match out. This colt impressed me tremendously yesterday. I did not see this coming, and I see some leaps and bounds of improvement with Final Answer. This is a colt that's going to surprise a lot of people when we look back at the videos for December, January, February. when you see where this horse lands in July, August, September of 2018, I think he's going to turn some heads, and I think he's really going to surprise a lot of people, me being one of them. I don't know that this colt, I didn't know that he was this good, but what I saw yesterday in a slower mile, he's got a lot to do yet, make no mistake. This is no endorsement me saying he's the best horse we have. He's got a lot to do. But I didn't see this coming yesterday. This is a serious colt. And Final Answer could be a stakes horse for 2018. Before, it was a question mark. Where's he going to land? What's he going to do? Where are we going to race him? I think I know now. Anyway, those are the top 5. Obviously, a horse to watch, Springbridge Proud, was ultra impressive yesterday. Very, very impressive. He's got it all figured out, too. This colt, you move, sit, move, sit. You can't usually move a horse that hard, stop them, and then start them back up and drive away from other horses. You just don't usually do that. And this colt was impressive. Final Answer, really, really impressive yesterday also. So, that's the top 5. That's the movers. Talked about the improved horses I was really impressed with. Hard 8, yes. Maxwell Plum, Warwi Ultra, Stonebridge Loyal, and Christine K. Very impressive also. Top 10 list. Now, you will notice every week, it's the same good. King of the Ball, Maintenance Man, you know, those horses show up, look great every week, and I talk about them. Fast horses, usually those are the 2 horses you see, and when they have a good day, those are the ones you talk about. Don't talk about Mo Better. We haven't ever talked about Mo Better. Yeah, he looked good. Yeah, he's a nice little horse. Yeah, he's a Better's Delight. Bred pretty good. Staked to some stakes. Never talked to him in the same breath of Maintenance Man and King of the Ball, yet he laid a thumping on the best horses we have yesterday. Now, he didn't drive away, but they all had their shot at Mo Better yesterday. I moved him to the front starting out. Removed him to the front at the half. Maintenance Man sat in my back. Buckingham came first over. Linnea was second over. We come out of the last turn. I called on him. It looked like Linnea was gonna head him halfway down the lane. Mo was gone. I don't know what the hell got into this horse yesterday, but man, oh man, where'd that mile come from? He was crazy good yesterday. I'm going to bring him in at 10, only because we've never spoke of him. And I've said, you know, these are the horses that are good every week. He hasn't been great any week. He's been okay. He's been decent. You know, people talk about him. He's got a nice gait. He's quick on his feet. Nice little horse. Thumped our best horses yesterday. So, I'm very happy. Mo Better. You know, sometimes when the April showers end and the flowers start to bloom and you get a nice 14-degree sunny day, strange things happen. They certainly did yesterday. Mo Better. I don't know what to say. He looked unbelievable yesterday. Another horse. 3 moved him. Asked him to leave to the front. Allowed Maintenance Man to the front. Removed him. Second move to the front. Sat on them. Sat on them. Let Buckingham look him in the eye around the last turn. Called on him coming out of the turn and trounced them. Some of our best horses. 3 moves in one training trip going that speed. We went a mile 14 yesterday in the jog cart. Come a half in 4. You know, impressive. Very impressive. Time All Houdini stays on the list. Made a break, but Brett, you know, Brett doesn't want to go out there. He's a professional driver. He's a smart kid. He's got a good set of hands. He doesn't want to ruffle any feathers. He doesn't want to be out there stirring the colts and fillies up. And yesterday was some hard workouts for some hard horses, and you got to have these horses on their toes. Just watch Time All Houdini's video. Whole time he's drifting in, he's drifting out, he's looking around, he's bouncing around. He doesn't have his head in the game. And he rolled off getting in the last turn. He kind of come up close to, might have even been me, I'm not sure. And he come up close to the horse in front of him. It was me. I was first over there, Vicka. He come up, I watched the video, and he come up close to me around the gate where he sees things. He come up close to me, and he rolled off. Got looking at the gate, got looking at me, got looking at the helmet, maybe my whip, but was not focused on his job, and he lost him right in that turn. So, not a big deal. Time All Houdini's been tremendous, and just a nice colt. So, I had a suspicion he was going to make a break before we started our mile, just from what I saw in the warm-up, and was not surprised he did. Easily fixed. Not a big deal. Not a big deal, Brett. Brett's a good driver, good kid, got a great set of hands, and just trying to be a little easy on Houdini when it wasn't the day to be easy on Houdini. Dance Hall Babe, Looked great again. Dancehall Babe's only issue is she's an Angus Hall. She's a goofy, flighty filly. But when you put her in gear, when you give her her head and put her in gear, she's flawless. And looked good again yesterday. Just going to work on that move, sit, move, sit. You know, the more Angus talks to her in her head, the less she wants to allow you to do things. So you have to move, drop her in a hole, make her learn to sit, move her to the front, stop her, let one go, sit again. When she masters that, she's got all the tools. All the tools she needs to be a great filly are in that toolbox, and she uses most of them. Very smart filly. Looked great again yesterday. Linnea, I don't know what her last quarter was yesterday, but she looked tremendous on the track. Very impressed with Linnea yesterday. Impressed every week with Linnea. Just a really, really nice filly. Doesn't wear a boot. Barely needs a head pole. And just super fast. She was a little peggy when she went on the track today. Now, by peggy, I mean a little stiff. So her left knee bothered her back in January. I'd spoke about this a couple of times. Luckily, her right knee was a little stiff yesterday or this morning. Not bad, not a big deal, but a little stiff. So we can address that easy enough. But Linnea was really, really good. King of the Ball. A lot of people are wondering why we put him in the spot we did in a different set. He was on the left line a little bit. His left knee is a little warm. Both his knees are a little warm. These are babies. You go through growth spurts. Their knees get sore from time to time. The point is, notice it, address it, fix it, and move on. And with King of the Ball, I know he made a couple of breaks yesterday, but that was my fault. I had told the groom all week we had jogged him with a Murphy blind and a head pole on the outside so he'd stay straight because he was kind of crooked on that left line. And I told him the day before, hey, he won't need this stuff to train. He has never trained with it on, and it's going to make him run in. He doesn't need it. Okay. And there was a little communication error, and I noticed when he turned, I hadn't seen him come on the track, and when we started to speed up to go a mile, he coasted up alongside me. I looked over and I went, oh no, he had the Murphy blind and the head pole on the outside. If you noticed, he made a break in the first turn, but he was running in away from that head pole. Not a big deal. He was flying on the end of it. He's got crazy freak speed too. So not really concerned with the little bobbles he made. It wasn't the King of the Ball of old. He's very, very sensible with that snake cord in his mouth. Smart, cold. Did everything we needed him to do yesterday. Just and then you have to factor in Ricky's cement hands. So Ricky's cement hands and the equipment he didn't need made King of the Ball make a couple little breaks, but not a big deal. White Tiger, Todd made a little break with them also. We touched on this earlier. These guys, you know, you gotta have these horses on their toes when they train these miles on a half-mile track, and to go out there and just let them, you know, look around, smell the daisies, and look at the pretty flowers, it's just not gonna work. And I trained King of the Ball today. He was fantastic. I went a mile in 18 or 19. The track was a little tacky. It rained all night. Powerhouse. Looked great. He did drop down, though. Way to go, Todd. Now White Tiger was sitting in fifth. Fifth. Could be our best horse. Might be the best horse I ever had. Sitting fifth. Anyway, trained great again today. Maintenance Man slid down a little bit. You got thumped by Mo Better. Linnea beat you. I don't know if Buckingham beat him. I doubt it, but Mr. Pogge was driving through the middle. Maintenance Man, we had that shadow blind on him yesterday, and I think Danny was a little tentative with him. I noticed he didn't put him in a hole going in the first turn. Maybe he wanted to let him see stuff on the track. I don't know. I didn't talk to him about it after, but moved him to the front. I moved him back with Mo Better, and that's one thing. Now, you got to remember, too, Maintenance Man, we let his hobbles out. He's never been in a position where he'd pace super hard in the end of it. And I think he was stretching into his hobbles yesterday, too. I could see a couple of times down the lane he was looking to move, but once I get that colt over to Mohawk and tighten him up good, hoo-hoo. Fast, but I'm going to leave you right in fourth for the day. Autumn Wings. Autumn Wings has been fast for a very, very long time. We watched videos of her back in January where she swooped the field coming out of the turn here. You need to watch her in the turns. Put a couple of steps in, bite that right line. I talked about it. We're going to change her gear. We blistered her a couple of times last week. Yesterday was the first time I ever saw Autumn Wings move, sit, and power through the turns. Before, she was very tentative in the turns, and you had to watch her. A couple of times she made breaks coming out of the turns. But yesterday, in the last turn, I didn't almost want to move her. I said, I don't want to make a break with this filly or put her in a bad spot. I didn't want to put her in a bad spot. And I moved her out. She never hesitated once. If you watch the video, King of the Ball was coming and Ricky was giving him a little room because he was running in. So he was out in the 3-wide path anyway. And I moved her into the 2-wide path and she exploded forward and never put a step in. So yesterday was the first time in Autumn Wings' life. The power has never been an issue with this filly. Stamina has never been an issue with this filly. her sheer comfort in the turns, on the track, in different places was concerning from time to time. Yesterday, that concern was put to rest. I finally saw this filly in the light I wanted to see her. I finally saw her bounce forward and do her work with the power that I wanted her to do. I wanted her to connect that raw talent to her game, connect it to the whole mile, and chip away at that self-consciousness that she has in the turns and in places. And yesterday was the first time I saw that. So Autumn Wings, for the people that own her, I know we haven't talked very much about her issues, because she doesn't have any serious issues, but her tendencies in the mile were a bit concerning from time to time. But yesterday she put all those to rest. So Autumn Wings, impressive yesterday. Arvika, number 2. Arvika's number 2 because she's always been on the list, and she didn't make any mistakes yesterday. Still running into the turns, still a little rolly, still trying to get her A game put together. Very impressed with this filly, though. I had to watch her in the last turn, but as you can remember, Arvika has made breaks in that last turn. She was accelerating the last turn. I let her switch her leads and square up coming out of the turn, and trotted past them down the lane, past just a tad, and looked very, very good. So Arvika back in the swing of things, looked great yesterday. Now, number 1. I don't think this horse wasn't even on the list last week. He's been on the list for a while, but had never driven into number 1. Don't even know if he cracked top 5. But just the way that Maintenance Man was okay yesterday, and King of the Ball made a mistake, and White Tiger made a mistake. Swandre the Giant. Swandre the Giant has always been impressive, has always been powerful, always had to learn. We left this colt a stud, so sometimes he'll bite at you, and he's a little goofy on the track. Brett got away in the 2-hole. I had to watch the video before I made this list. I didn't realize how good this colt was yesterday until I watched the replay. And watch it. Do yourself a favor. Go back and watch that set. Gets away close, moves him to the front, immediately under attack, immediately lets the horse go. Sits behind the horse. Whole way. Sits there. Yes is on the front. He's sitting in the 2-hole. I think I was first over the Curious Winner. We come out of the turn, and I was watching my colt. If you watch, he almost run a couple of times. There was another horse coming on the far outside, Warwee Ultra, I think, maybe. Not sure. And I didn't realize what Swandre the Giant did until halfway down the lane. This is a colt that left. 1 move. Removed to the front. 2 moves. Halfway down the lane, Brett just taps him on the tail. You can literally see this horse switch gears from 4th to 5th, and he is gone immediately. Drives past Ricky down the lane, drives away in the mile. After the mile, I catch up to him. I didn't realize you can literally see this horse accelerate halfway down the lane, finishing up his mile. That says a lot. It says a lot about Swandre the Giant. 1, he is a wealth of talent. 2, he's smart and reserves his energy. And 3, when you call on him, there is 0 hesitation. 3 very, very important things I like to see in any horse, especially a 2-year-old trotter, is well-bred and looking as good as him. Swandre the Giant, number 1 this week, and deservedly so. A lot of horses trained really well this week. In my mind, none as well as he trained. He was ultra impressive today. So that's the movers of the week. Most improved of the week. Horse to watch of the week. Top 10. Swandre the Giant, very impressive today. Looking to have a big 2018 in Indiana.